Well, thank you very much. We are here with Steve Hawks. I'm so excited. Steve has always been fun to me.
Is that what you're going to call it? It's fun?
Yeah, because Steve and I have, in some cases, had different opinions. But Steve's does his research and does some amazing things, and we're going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But I want to ask you just a couple of questions. What got you involved in this? We were talking right before we went on that you were involved. You were one of the founders of this. So can you give us
Trends. We're talking about the Trends Committee.
Yeah, Trends. So, and I think it was 2011 or 2012, the first Trends Committee was formed because of all the chaos that was going on back then.
Right.
People, a lot of people don't remember or weren't involved back then. But it was after the foreclosure crisis. It was right after the middle of the foreclosure crisis. Mm-hmm. It was the biggest change in real estate that we'd ever seen. The banks were changing their tune. We had hedge funds coming in. We had trends that had never been seen before.
Never.
And you needed people in the trenches. It was myself, Amanda Brown, Leslie Carver, Jared Jones. So it was people that were, we had tons of foreclosures, short sales.
Agents.
It was a nightmare. 95% of all the houses were short sales or foreclosures.
Absolutely.
And the trends were starting to change, and that was also the beginning of third parties coming in, not just the hedge funds, but technology, portals. It was like a tidal wave of change.
Right.
And then again, now we're seeing another tidal wave.
No, let's go back then. So what happened then? What did you do back then?
We had huge events here at the old LVAR, the GLVAR on Sahara, on how to discuss short sales with people. What are the advantages of? There was should people keep paying their mortgage? Why are people getting help? Why are some people getting help and why people aren't? How you could explain to your clients how to get help from the lenders, because you could have two clients with the exact same situation. One person would get a forbearance, one person would get a loan modification, the other person would get foreclosed on.
Yeah.
Same bank, same why?
So you were part of Trends back then?
They asked us to
speak
to be part of the committee back then.
Right.
And we met, I think it was more like twice a month because there was so much changing. So we provided information and data for the whole association because we were dealing with the banks and seeing all that was going on.
So you're like a founding father of Trends.
I don't know about that.
So going on that founding father, now you're the chair.
Yes.
What does that mean to be the chair for you?
Well, I was asked to, come back because we are seeing a tidal wave of change again. So I decided, there's a lot to talk about. Like the last 10 years, it's pretty much been the same thing.
And we bugged you to come back, right?
Yes. I mean, that's another thing too. You could either spend time doing Trends or having Mary call you to keep on asking you to do it. Okay. You
blaming on Mary like usual. The normal Steve always blaming it on Mary.
I agree with you. She can haunt you.
Who knows more than this guy that's in the trenches, that's been, he's all over social media. Every time Steve Hawks says something, it usually happens 2 or 3 years later.
Yep.
So I really respect you, and me, Lee, and the whole association and the board, we appreciate you stepping up and cheering this.
Absolutely.
We know you're very busy.
Well, you're busy, and more importantly, you actually know what is going on.
Can we?
It's not an accident.
Can we talk about your very first meeting? Can you explain to it and tell us how many people were in that meeting?
Yeah, there was 100, at least 100 in the meeting, and 100 or 200. There's over 300 people that I guess tried to get in, and the parking lot was full, I guess, for the first time. Yeah. But it just goes to show that people want to know what is happening, how we can adjust, how we can start marketing ourselves, how we can help clients for the trends that are coming, trends that I've never seen before. So you can't go back and say, oh, that's going to happen. That worked back then. Well, guess what, folks? That what we're going to see right now has never happened before. So you can't look back. You have to be in the trenches, and you got to be a speedboat. You can't be a cruise ship, moving slowly like in the past. The past 10 years, you could move real slowly. But now it's going like this, and we're seeing things that we've never seen before. A majority of homeowners don't want to sell their house at 2.5% interest rate, 3% interest rates. How do you combat that? We have people from California coming in like crazy, driving up prices again. We have the hedge funds that are, sometimes they're buying, sometimes they're not.
And they're waiting.
That's right. Why are they waiting? How do we know? How can we tell our clients, hey, I know it looks slow right now, or I know this looks right now, but see those guys over there, they're waiting. So if you wait for them, it's going to be too late. Why is that happening?
Which is going to hurt our buyers, especially buyers that are thinking the interest rate's too high, the home prices are too high. What's going to happen when the floodgates happen again?
Right. And then we talked about what the Fed says. We live in a centrally planned economy now. The Fed says what they're going to do. And that's one thing that we can look back on the past 100 years. You don't fight the Fed. Whatever the Fed says, that's going to happen. And they said, hey, we're going to reset housing. We want to create more inventory for buyers. That's not me. That's the Fed said that. We want to create more inventory for buyers right now. Well, that's kind of backfired on the Fed, right? And they're not in the trenches. I mean, I'll go talk to a realtor or a business owner. I'll get their advice before I'll ever ask a banker
Yes.
or a central banker or the Fed
Absolutely.
or a politician what's going on in the economy.
Yes.
Because us realtors are like, wait a minute, you're trying to create more inventory. Well, when you raise interest rates like that, you're actually going to decrease inventory in the long run because people aren't going to be maneuvering. They're not going to move. And we're starting to see that. It used to be, 5-6 years was turnover. Now we're up 10, 12, 13 years. People are staying in their houses.
Yeah.
We could see 15 and 20 years
Because of
as a
low
normal.
interest rates too.
Correct.
So why would I sell if I keep an asset at 2.5% or 3%? It's ridiculous.
Correct. And another trend we're seeing back in 2008, 2009, when people fell behind on their payment or were worried about foreclosure, the people would rush and say, hey, what do I got to do? I don't want to lose my house. Well, this time it's a complete opposite. We're seeing similar to 2011, 2012. Now when people are defaulting or they can't make their mortgage payment, they're not worried about getting...
No, they got equity position.
Well, not only do they have equity position, the bank's like, hey, in 2008, people were like, how do I save my house? I don't want to lose it. And the banks were trying to throw them out. This time, the people are like, I don't care. The bank's like, how do we save you? How do we keep you?
They don't want to
Reverse logic.
No, I mean, we're seeing stuff that's never happened before.
Right.
The forbearances are back. A year ago, I said, hey, the mortgages are doing forbearances. The mortgage companies are doing forbearances again indefinitely. That's strange because everything's perfect. Well, little did they knew what was going to happen, right? And now we see FHA with a 10.4% default. Well, 10 years ago, if you saw that, or 12 years ago, you're like, oh, more inventory is coming on. But now it's the opposite.
Absolutely, because they're working.
That's right. The more defaults you see, the less inventory because those homes are never going to come on the market, at least for 18 to 36 months. That's not my opinion. HUD just came out and said that all the FHA, they're going to reinstitute the mortgage forbearances for at least, their words, at least 18 months. For any reason. That's on the HUD website. This is the kind of information that we talk about at the Trends. That just happened 2 weeks ago.
And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
And folks, if you're on the line of should I go, should I not go, you gotta go because all this stuff Steve studies, his staff studies, and he's rocking and rolling with some really cool stuff.
Steve's watching the news 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
Easily.
You don't want to watch the news too much because it's
sad.
certain news, right? You got to pick and choose. You don't watch Don't watch the mainstream media.
You watch business news.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You want to get at the Trends. We talk about information that you're not going to find in the media.
Absolutely.
You're not going to find in mainstream media. I think everyone agrees now. You're not going to get the facts from mainstream media. No. I mean, I don't care what side you're on. It's pretty much
make a difference.
Now.
Absolutely.
Yes. So you have to be in the trenches, find out where the data is coming from, and then you have to, information is free now. Information used to be very expensive. Data is free. It's the application of that information and that data that becomes worth value.
And I think for our members, it's interpretation. So now we have somebody like you that can interpret the data, and then we have the pros and cons at those opportunities to have those discussions. I think it's really important.
Let's go to your next meeting because it is open. And can you bring up the topic and tell everyone when our next meeting is? Yes, just give us a little tease.
Yeah, our next meeting is Tuesday, the 14th.
This Tuesday.
Ooh, boy. And this is another thing to the trend, a current trend. New home builders. We're going to have 6 new home builders telling us about their products. Why new home builders? Why now? Well,
they're offering us.
Well, they don't have a choice. We don't have a choice anymore. There's more inventory. There's more new home inventory coming on the market in 2023 than any time besides 2008. In fact, many areas there's more new home inventory coming on the market now than 2008. And we had last quarter at the last meeting we talked about this. There was a 70% cancellation rate for some of the home builders, right? Well, that inventory is now coming back on the market. And what the Fed has done and what the HUD has done is, for lack of a better word, it's kind of like a builder bailout, right? So HUD said, we're going to keep this properties off the market, doing forbearances and all that. We're, indirectly. So now, and we're seeing inventory go down, right? Inventory is going down, not because houses are being sold, because people are taking off the market. Well, if you have people that want to buy a house right now, the only source that you can buy reasonably is new homes right now. Yeah, there's resales, but I don't have to tell anyone it's in the trenches about the resale market right now, right? There's very little. Well,
and a lot of them are overpriced.
But as a good buyer's agent,
they're overpriced because of the new homes, right? Yeah, the new homes are offering 4.5%. Most areas, new homes are less than resales. The resale people, a lot of those people don't have to sell. It's like, hey, take it or leave it. Absolutely. Okay, well, we'll leave it. We're going to go down on the new homes.
Absolutely. And, in the new homes, I teach classes here at the association. We have a new home agent. And the new home agent said at the beginning of the year, her first 45 days, she sold 38 homes.
Yeah.
People are walking through those homes. 5 out of 8 people that move to Las Vegas are coming from California. And they're walking through the homes and they're thinking, I just left a 50-year-old house and now I can buy a brand new one.
And they're going without a realtor.
For a third of what. And, and they need us to help them understand the values that we bring to the table.
80% of the people walking through right now do not have a realtor. Okay.
Write that down.
They're being represented by the realtor, the real estate agent that's working for the builder.
If you call that representation.
Well, representation for the seller, for the builder.
Right.
It is representation, but it's for the builder.
Right. And what the builders are doing right now is phenomenal because they're less price than the resales in most areas. Plus, the interest rate you can't beat 4.5%, 4.25% right now.
Yeah.
When the rates are 6.5% and 7.25%. I just got one of my buyers a 4.7 when her rate would have been 7.25%.
Right.
Okay. So that's what they're seeing in builders, and that proves another point we're talking about, right? People don't care about price. They don't care about rate. They care about payment.
Amen.
Let's get off of that topic because we want everyone to come to that meeting, and hopefully we're going to have to expand that room to fit all the people that you have because it is open. Can you give us a little insight of something else you're thinking about doing, another class if you don't mind, or do you want to keep it secret?
Oh, no. We're going to do what you just talked about. We're going to talk about the California exodus on how to, unfortunately, most locals can't afford a house in Las Vegas anymore. Here's another trend. Vegas, our real estate was always local. Well, that's not true. That's farther from the truth now. Real estate is not local anymore because if it was local, our average price wouldn't be $430,000 or $425,000, whatever it is right now, right? And it wouldn't have been $500,000, a year ago, right? It has nothing to do with local anymore. It has to do, for Vegas in particular, and many other cities, California, the California exodus, right? Yep. So how are you going to get that buyer pool of 80% of the buyers that are walking in to new homes without a realtor?
Absolutely.
Okay. And so we're going to talk about the California exodus, how to partner with, we're going to have one of the top California agents out here talking about how we can partner with them, why people are California, why people in California are leaving. I grew up in California. It's completely different than you can't, it's literally the middle classes.
So Hawaii, New York, Colorado, they're coming from all over.
They're coming from all over, but
California's 5 out of 8.
And you got investors and you got second and third home buyers. And
we talk about the home shortage in America. Well, in California, that's over half of the home shortage, right? 2.5. California has a 2.5 million home shortage right now.
What about China?
Well, that's another topic, but the people from California are coming here. They want to buy a new home.
I'm sorry, she keeps on throwing stuff out. Yeah.
You can't buy a new home in
California.
In California, compared to Vegas, it's crazy. And then trying to build new homes in California, the builders it takes
too much years. Absolutely.
Yes. And we're backtracking a little bit, but don't make no mistake. If you think you can wait to buy a new home in Vegas, if you go look, here's another trend we're going to talk about. In June, July, August, the permits that are being pulled for new homes in Las Vegas are going like this. So that means once they sell out of they want to sell these
existing inventory.
So guess what? Right now there's a shortage of resales, and pretty soon there's going to be a shortage of new homes too, because the builders aren't playing games. They're going to say, hey, let's sell this and then decide. Because the builders have the same problem everybody else does in this country, right? supply and labor. Yeah.
And the supply, the prices has skyrocketed.
Yes. On supplies, yes. People say, oh, what's down? This is down. This is down. No, it's down from a year ago, but go look at 2020. Go look at 2019. Okay, house prices are down 10 to 15, 20% from March, but they're still way up from 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's my recommendation to you. You come to Steve's class, bring a tape recorder, because he moves fast and he's got a lot of cool information.
And a lot of knowledge.
And, we're just glad you're in the trenches with us. We appreciate you very much. There is so much we could talk about that I don't want people to watch this and not come. I want them to come because there's so much you bring to the table. So I just got a couple more questions before I ask you these. I just want to thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
For always being there for our members, and making sure they understand what's going on, because you do at the beginning of the year, you do something called the
Crystal Ball.
And everybody knew about the Crystal Ball.
Yeah.
That's why we had such a great turnout. And your Trends Committee doesn't meet on a monthly basis, does it? Or does it meet on a quarterly, every other month?
Every other month.
So you don't get an opportunity to do this very often, and so you're going to get an opportunity in March. We're going to make sure that we get this out so people can get to your March meeting.
Lee, you're gonna invite Steve here quarterly as well, right?
Yeah. Quarterly.
He is now, I guess.
No.
No.
We're not. No Steve for a quarter. Yeah, every quarter we're going to do the Steve. So we're going to make sure that people can go back and we talk about previous meetings like this, like the one you did in January, so we can get some insight on if they missed it, so they can get some insight.
The crystal ball that we had in January, over half of that stuff is already starting to happen. Yeah. We talked about the shortage. We talked about the Fed freeze. That's happening, and it's happening even more than anybody suspected.
Than you predicted.
Yeah.
So you just shared, we had a full house, almost 300 people here. Parking lot was full. Just one thing, and I know, people don't realize that not everybody has to like the association, correct?
Correct.
And not everybody has to be that person that's a rah-rah siskin-ball. And you've never been that with the association. You've always been a good steward. But what advice would you give people now that you're involved? What advice would you give people in getting involved with the association? And you're doing it, I know, in my mind, you're doing it to complete your circles in life. You have so much knowledge, and it's very important for people to realize that sometimes if you don't share, it doesn't necessarily feel that good. You share, and more people get to understand what's going on. So you've always been a sharer.
Right.
Correct.
Nobody is given something to hold it back. You're always given something to push it through, to share it, to give
make
away.
It better.
You don't take a candle and put a cup over it, right, in a dark room. So
Amen.
You want to share the light, whatever information, whatever gifts you have, you want to share with people, because that's why you're given those gifts, or whatever knowledge you have, and whatever it is.
And I appreciate you doing that. So what would you tell people to make sure their light shines about getting involved? What would you say? Look at that camera.
Yeah. So it's a big organization, right? It's just like any corporation, any company. You're going to have people you disagree with, but at the end of the day, you want to share your information, knowledge, get some information, knowledge for yourself. You don't have to like everybody.
No.
Nobody's going to like everybody. No. When you went to school, anything you've ever done, if you have more than 10 people, you're not going to like everybody. You're not going to like everybody.
Sure,
that's just the way it is.
That's right.
No matter what organization, whether it's a family, a country, a corporation. I mean, the bigger the family, the more, who fights the most? Families,
absolutely.
right? Because they love each other the most, right? So no matter what your situation is, it's going to be where you have people you really like and people you don't, and people are just middle of the road. That's life.
I know.
And for you not to get involved or join because of a few people you don't like or dislike, that's going to come back on you. That's going to make you less. Absolutely. So you want to be more.
Well, Bubba, I appreciate you very much, Steve. And we're going to do this on a quarterly basis, like she already told you.
Excellent.
So, any other question you have?
No, Steve just said it. I mean, Steve
Be the light.
a leader. And if you ever have a question and you have Steve's phone number, he'll stay on the phone with you for 2 hours. And he loves to help others. Sometimes people don't realize that, but he has such a great light. He's been my friend for a very long time. We kid around a lot, but if I ever have a question, I call Steve. I better have 3 hours because he doesn't stop. But he is an educator. He loves bringing up new leaders. And we are very honored that you took the position. So thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Thanks. We're out. Have a great day.